It's Tuesday, November 22nd. Stu Journalism and the New Brunswick Beacon present the Basement Tapes.
Hi, I'm Cedric Noel.
And I'm Whitney Nielsen. We're here today at Officer Square for this edition of the Basement Tapes. Let's go down to the square.
And our lead stories are mixed feelings on Remembrance Day,
a military research center suffers budget cuts,
and a transgendered soccer player faces controversy. November 11th is a day to remember the sacrifices made by men and women in past and present conflicts. Hundreds attended Fredericton's Remembrance Day ceremony, and although it's been observed for over 90 years, some have mixed feelings about the event. Pat Brennan has more.
They came in hundreds, some with their families, some with fellow officers, and some came by themselves. They came to remember, to pay their respects to the sacrifices that have been made and continue to be made. Once again, downtown Fredericton was host to the city's Remembrance Day ceremony. This is the first Remembrance Day in a decade where Canada hasn't had combat troops in Afghanistan, something that has been a reality for this generation, making the day more significant. For third-year student and sapper Rosalind Alessi, the day represents solidarity.
Forces member, and every time I put on my uniform, I'm proud to be a part of something like that. I'm proud to know that I'm serving my country and following in the footsteps of people before me.
Other students have different opinions. Emily Nearing says she doesn't agree with the military's current actions, but understands and acknowledges the importance of the day.
Remembrance Day to me is a chance to, go out and let the veterans know that I appreciate what they've done.
They came in hundreds, with different backgrounds, different experiences, different stories, but in the end, they all remembered. For Stu Journalism, I'm Pat Brennan.
It's easy to reflect on war once a year during Remembrance Day, but the University of New Brunswick has a special program devoted to studying Canada's war history. But now it seems that these studies are in danger due to recent budget cuts. Shane Fowler is on location with this story.
I'm on the UNB campus here in Fredericton at the Gregg Center. It's a department of the university dedicated to studying war, both its history in Canada and its impact on our society. In my hands, I'm holding a book that was released on this Friday's Remembrance Day. Written by Lee Windsor, the deputy director here at the center, Steel Cavalry tells the story of the history of the thousands of New Brunswickers that fought in World War II. It's a book that's only made possible because of the work that goes on here at the center. But as the director, Matt Milner, has discovered, because of Defense Department cuts, Gregg Center is losing $120,000 in funding.
While no staff is in jeopardy, conferences and guest speakers will be sacrificed. Also on the chopping block is the New Brunswick Military Project that produces a series of books that detail the military history of the province and its people. That series, including Steel Cavalry, may now have to be abandoned, meaning New Brunswickers will have to go elsewhere for sources on their very own history.
While Director Milner says that despite the setbacks, the center will continue to operate without funding from Ottawa. However, he is looking at other options for funding in order to save the book project. For Stu Journalism, I'm Shane Fowler.
Thanks, Shane. The holiday season usually means baked goods and turkey dinners, but not everyone can afford all the trimmings. And as temperatures plummet, heating costs can go through the roof, leaving little money left over for food. That's where the Fredericton Food Bank comes in. Bridget Yard has more.
They carry clothes, canned goods, fresh produce, even cleaning supplies, and it's all free to those who need it most. The Fredericton Food Bank is gearing up for a busy winter. They're moving from the current location on Grand Am Street to the former Green Village Garden Center on the north side. Chris Fougere, the food bank's distribution manager, says the move is a work in progress over the next few months. He thinks the new location will benefit the food bank's clients.
It gives us enough room so when the weather is cold or rainy, the clients can wait inside instead of having to wait outside and get their food outside. And it gives us enough space that we can hopefully start a couple of new programs that we've been looking at. So we're quite excited.
These new programs could include teaching clients to use the food provided to them by the food bank. While canned goods and packaged foods are quick and easy, Fougere says learning to cook fresh foods could make clients' grocery bills cheaper. The move comes not a moment too soon. After 27 years in operation, the food bank is serving more people than ever.
It's been a steady increase every year for the last couple of years. A lot of that is because prices go up, but minimum wage doesn't increase, social assistance rates don't increase, EI rates don't increase. So there's a larger gap between what things cost and money that's provided.
Fortunately, volunteers from around Fredericton are willing to help. People like Carl even drop off food and other necessities for those who are unable to make it to the food bank for pickup. The food bank relies on its volunteers to help distribute 15 tons of food each month to the needy of Fredericton. For Stu Journalism, I'm Bridget Yard.
The New Brunswick government is making cuts in an attempt to solve the province's debt crisis. These cuts may result in many New Brunswickers losing access to vital programs and services. Recent announcements by the Minister of Transportation have some rural New Brunswickers worried. For more on the story, here's Kara Cousins.
It's that time of year, and soon snow will cover the ground. And in some New Brunswick communities, snow will cover the roads all winter long. The provincial government is trying to reduce debt in New Brunswick. As a result, funding cuts are being made to programs and services usually offered by the province. Transportation Minister Claude Williams announced that 28 snowplow drivers will lose their jobs this winter, and 21 snowplows will no longer be used. Each year, the government spends between $55 and $75 million on winter road maintenance. With the changes, the government will save about $5 million each year. Because of the cuts, more than 200 private roads in New Brunswick will no longer be eligible for winter plowing. This has many rural New Brunswickers very worried about how they will clear their roads. Susan Makem is the Canada Research Chair in Rural Social Justice and a sociology professor at St. Thomas University. She says that rural New Brunswickers need to have the same access to infrastructure as people living in urban areas. No government ministers were available to comment on this issue. For Stu Journalism, I'm Kara Cousins.
Thanks, Kara. After more than 2 months of delays, the Princess Margaret Bridge finally reopened on Thursday. These delays frustrated more than 20,000 drivers forced to share one bridge to travel between Fredericton's north and south sides. The bridge was originally scheduled to be finished on September 5th, but the date was moved ahead twice. The provincial government says it will fine the company $3 million in late fees. While the bridge is open to the public, the construction won't be completely finished until December 16th. After that, they will be charged $10,000 each day.
As temperatures drop, the cold may be welcomed by those who can turn up the heat. But for anyone in need of food and shelter, it can be a difficult time of the year. Mark Logie has more.
With winter just around the corner, food banks and homeless shelters in Fredericton are mobilizing to help the less fortunate through the coming months. On Monday, the Fredericton Community Inclusion Network held a meeting of over 50 community leaders to brainstorm ways to reduce income poverty by 25% over the next 4 years. Dan Weston, coordinator of the Fredericton Anti-Poverty Organization, attended the meeting and said in an interview with the Daily Gleaner that many locals could be 1 or 2 paychecks away from winding up impoverished themselves. Already, almost 500 people use homeless shelters regularly throughout the year, especially during the winter, and less than 10% of these people are employable for steady work. Food banks are also reporting a 20% increase in use since 2008, reflecting a 30% rise in use nationwide. In New Brunswick alone, 20,000 people use food banks just to get by. The Fredericton Homeless Shelters held a charity benefit dinner on Sunday to raise money for a larger budget and more beds. Tickets were priced at $50 a head, and the dinner was held at the Motor Inn. The Fredericton Community Kitchen also began sending out letters asking for volunteers in helping their day-to-day operations. The kitchen serves over 100,000 meals every year and needs volunteers during the winter to accommodate the influx of people in need. For some, the coming months are truly a struggle to survive. For Stu Journalism, I'm Mark Logie.
With 5 weeks left before Christmas, holiday shopping is kicking into gear. Local vendors are joining up with craft shows with handmade gift ideas for the Christmas season. They urge shoppers to buy local crafts to support small businesses and families in New Brunswick. Macedonia Kutsimpelli has the story.
Who says a Christmas gift should fit in a brand name box? It could be a pair of warm socks, a basket full of jam and jellies, or a scarf made by a crafty person next door.
It's nice to buy local because it's somebody that you know, it's someone's mom or grandma or auntie that's made it, and it's homemade, it's made with the heart.
Gloria Schumann uses her knitting skills to make scarves. She is one of the many craftspeople in Fredericton that joined the New Creations Craft Show last Sunday. All of them worked since the summer to have their Christmas gift ideas on the table for the one-day show at the Marysville Historic Center.
We're all crafters, and some of us are all businesses, so this is what we do for a living, because I work full-time doing this from home.
The local craft shows are the place where family businesses and even homestay moms have a chance to show what they can make and to earn an income within their own community.
I'm not bashing corporate at all, because I mean I do a lot of shopping at Walmart, but I would much more prefer buying my stuff from somebody who's staying at home with their children than I would going and fighting with the people at the mall.
Last December, New Brunswickers spent more than $1 billion including their Christmas shopping, according to a Statistics Canada retail sales survey. But as every year, some buyers prefer gifts made in New Brunswick, and not only because the products are handmade.
At least you know you're helping a family as you will are buying something nice for your family when it's homemade.
This year, I was with my parents. I'm going to be doing a donation to the local SPCA as their Christmas gift. I think it's wonderful to be able to support local. Anything we can do for our own economy is just a beautiful thing.
The best gifts come from the heart, and as craftspeople know, gifts made by hand come from the heart. For Stu Journalism, I'm Macedonia Kutsumbeli.
Since 1965, the St. Thomas University's Native Student Council has been hosting Native Awareness Days. This year marks their 46th anniversary. Each year, students, faculty, and friends gather to help raise awareness about issues affecting Canada's Aboriginal peoples. The event will cover topics such as Aboriginal law, land issues, and Indigenous language and culture loss. This year's theme is entitled, Our Home on Native Land. Lectures are scheduled throughout the month of November, including a film screening with Amnesty International and a closing potluck and social. More information is available at the STU website under Native Awareness Days.
For the second time in a year, the Stepping Stone Senior Center has had graffiti written on it. Just last week, they had graffiti written across their sign on Saunders Street. Justin Marshall is on the scene.
Thanks, guys. I'm at the Stepping Stone Senior Center where just last week vandals wrote foul language and graffiti on the Stepping Stone Senior Center sign right behind me. Madeline Gadet, a volunteer at the center, says it's disappointing that somebody would do such a thing, especially since last year the sign was replaced by the city of Fredericton.
We're right on the park, right on the park property, and although we're well lit at night and there are activities here at night, but I don't know why. I have no idea why it's done, but it certainly doesn't enhance the building.
Gadet says this is not the first time they've had to deal with graffiti at the center. Just last year, there was graffiti plastered all over the side of the building. Constable Rick Mooney with the Fredericton Police Force says he can't comment on this specific case because it hasn't been reported, but he does say that graffiti is a very serious offense in the city of Fredericton and is a criminal one. Justin Marshall, STU Journalism.
It's been over 3 weeks since the Occupy movement began. While the protest on Wall Street is ongoing, occupiers across Canada are struggling to keep their occupation sites clean or face eviction. Tyler Lyons has the details.
Thanks. Well, in Canada, the Occupy movement is facing numerous obstacles to keep the protest strong and their voices heard. Here in Fredericton, the protesters have taken to Facebook to organize their movement better. They plan out shifts for people to camp out and post requests for supplies they're looking for, as well as skills they could use. So far, the City Council has made no attempt to remove the protesters, but they do work to ensure that the occupation is kept safe and within legal boundaries. However, certain cities have turned to law enforcement for action. In London, Ontario, police were called in to a local park to remove the tents of the protesters there. There were no arrests made or violent outbursts, but this did mark the first use of force by police on an Occupy protest. British Columbia is having the same problems. In Vancouver, the movement created great controversy after the unexplained death of 23-year-old protester Ashley Gowd. The incident made protesters struggle to keep their demonstration within city regulations, and officials there are warning them they should pack up and leave. The original movement, Occupy Wall Street, has since moved itself to a nearby park in New York. Their conditions are much the same, with the group trying to abstain from violence and maintain a safe environment there. As for now, the officials in New York are much the same as here in Fredericton. They have no objection to the protest, so as long as it's kept within legal regulations. Back to you.
Thanks, Tyler. The coach of the Stu women's soccer team is at the center of recent controversy for the way he has been treating a transgendered player. The player has been on the team for the past 3 years, but says the treatment he received this year from the coach has made him reconsider playing again. Samantha Both has the story.
This is TJ Wardell. These are TJ's female soccer teammates. If he seems a bit out of place, it's because he is in the middle of transitioning. Wardell started his transition this summer. He legally changed his name from Sarah to Thomas Jameson and started to modify his appearance. He cut his hair and started wearing a binder to cover his female body parts. But he's still biologically female. When he returned to St. Thomas University this fall, Wardell informed the administration about the name change and professors began calling him TJ. When he told his soccer coach Mackie Singh, he didn't get the same response. Singh told Wardell he wasn't allowed to tell his teammates about the transition.
Well, at first I interpreted it the wrong way. I thought that he simply meant don't tell them until after tryouts, and then, it would sort of work its way in and everyone would sort of know me by then and it would be an easier way to tell everyone. But when I found out what he actually meant was don't tell the team at all as much as you can, it really kind of was insulting, I guess. I came to him in the hopes that it would be a positive experience and that we would be able to deal with it as, just another facet of the game.
Singh says he calls Wardell by his birth name because he is still Sarah in the game. But on the program from the game against Nova Scotia Agricultural College, he is listed as Thomas. Singh says he's not the only one calling him Sarah.
Moment, that's how it is. That's the way it is. And everybody knows her as Sarah as well.
But that's not the case. TJ says his friends, family, and roommates have been very supportive. He says Singh referring to him by his birth name has taken the enjoyment out of soccer.
After one game that I had just really had enough of constantly being referred to by my birth name and having Mackie yell at me all the time and be like, at the end of the game he said, oh, you're the VIP of this game, like you're amazing. And getting all this congratulations just meant nothing because it was all for Sarah and not Thomas.
Wardell says Singh's actions have pushed him to start the medical transition early. He was planning to wait until after graduating from university, but now he says he's going to start in December. Wardell also says the treatment he received this year has taken a toll on him, and he won't be playing soccer next year.
It pisses me off to, know to an extent that I can't even express. It's one of those things of dealing with being trans. You have so much dysphoria as is, and you're constantly wondering if you're passing, if you're actually, making people see you as a guy, or if you're, male to female as a girl. And the fact that someone is constantly reminding you of the fact that, during soccer you can't pass, there's no way I could pass, but being constantly reminded of this, it made me hate the game.
For Wardell, the victory against NSAC was the last of his university soccer career. For Stu Journalism, I'm Samantha Both.
Over the years, the Silver Wave Film Festival has given Fredericton movie fans a taste of local talent. This year, it's back and bigger than ever, bringing some international filmmakers to New Brunswick. Alicia Bosch reports.
The Silver Wave Film Festival showed independent films from New Brunswick and around the world. The New Brunswick Film Cooperative created the festival 11 years ago to showcase local talent. The festival has grown and now includes films from across Canada, the US, the UK, and Iran. Kat LeBlanc, a festival organizer, says that while the events and the crowds have gotten bigger, it still has a grassroots community feel. Film screenings were held across Fredericton. Venues included the Centre Communautaire St. Anne, Tilly Hall at the University of New Brunswick, and the Charlotte Street Arts Centre. The centerpiece of the festival was a short film segment. 2 sequences focused exclusively on films from New Brunswick. LeBlanc said the turnout this year has been good, but says that bigger is not viewed as better. She says that many people don't realize that some of the filmmakers are volunteers and don't make a profit for the films they produce. For Stu Journalism, I'm Alicia Bosch.
Thanks, Alicia. It's becoming increasingly difficult to find a family doctor in Fredericton. The shortage of doctors is due to a low incentive to stay within the province. As the waiting list increases, the number of doctors decreases. Tony Peter Paul has more.
If you're looking to find a family doctor in the city of Fredericton, look again. The current waiting list is approximated at 1 year and is growing. There's simply not enough incentives in New Brunswick to keep the doctors. They're leaving to western provinces which offer better opportunities. There are two methods in acquiring a family doctor in Fredericton. The first is through Chalmers Regional Hospital. You must either fill out a 2-page application form or call a 1-800 number on the form. If you call, you must leave a message with your contact number. You will then be called back and asked for your personal information to complete the application. This will put you on a 1-year waiting list. The second method is to find a doctor in a private practice who is accepting patients. There are currently no doctors in Fredericton who are declaring the acceptance of new patients. For many new residents of Fredericton, walk-in clinics are the only option. I spoke with Jan Wong, who has recently moved from Toronto. She needs regular allergy shots and had to carry her serum in an ice pack from Toronto. She went to a walk-in clinic during methadone afternoon. The waiting room stank of urine and was hot, and the wait was long. There was a bureaucratic reluctance to give her her shots, so she left after waiting more than an hour for a scheduled injection. Fredericton's doctor shortage is a provincial matter. There are 70,000 people in New Brunswick without a family doctor. The provincial population is the second oldest in Canada. Nearly half the doctors are over the age of 50. Research shows that it'll take 2.2 new doctors to fill the workload of one older doctor. Your best bet in acquiring a family doctor in Fredericton is to apply at the hospital. While on the waiting list, you can try calling medical clinics and private practices and hope that you'll find a doctor who is short a patient. For Stu Journalism, I'm Tony Peter Paul.
And that's it for today's show. Thanks for watching another edition of the Stu Basement Tapes.
See you in a couple weeks.